hosts, John and me, Daddy Warpig. We are back, Geek Gab, for Saturday, August 24th, 2019. Coming to you all from a beta test version of a brand new site called StreamYard. Yea, verily, less than an hour ago, John promised people that in the near future, we would be experimenting with StreamYard, and we have already delivered on that promise.
We're the best. We always deliver on our promises.
Nearly instantaneously. That's how awesome and amazing we are.
It's a little too early to gush, but being able to set it up and use it in less than an hour, fully integrated with our YouTube channel, that's a really great tool. Like, that's the sign of well-designed, well-made software.
Oh, and we were talking before about, can I tell when it goes live and stuff? That little scheduled box, as soon as you hit live, it turned to red and says live, and it's counting up now.
That's great.
So
that's great. So this is a great tool, StreamYard. That was thanks to PC Bushy and John Delarose clued me in on this tool.
I got spam from them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got like 3 emails from them over the last little while. And honestly, I get a lot of spam, so I just ignore it. You're not supposed to talk about this sort of stuff. You're supposed to ignore it because it encourages them. But I got somebody who got ticked off at me like 4 years ago in the middle of a vast internet kerfluffle. And every now and then, they just randomly sign me up to different mailing lists. And it's still going on. I mean, this is not like a one-time thing. So most recently, it was Sam's Club like a month ago. I've gotten signed up to like an Ugg Boots mailing list. It's really hard to tell the difference between a general mailing list you got signed up for spitefully and like a phishing email. So everything I see in my email inbox, I just assume it's malicious and kind of ignore it until it's time to delete.
That's funny. That reminds me of I had a similar internet kerfluffle on Facebook, and for the following 2 weeks, I got nothing but spam in my inbox from political campaigns of for people with whom I do not identify politically. It was great. I was like, no, and I won't be contributing to that campaign. No.
Oh man. So we last did our show 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, 3. We missed 2 weeks in a row.
Oh yeah, which means we did it 3 weeks ago. I can math very well. Thank you very much. So the last couple of times we did the show, I had a very deep chest cold, like coal mine deep chest cold. And so I couldn't do a lot of stuff because I couldn't do my normal stentorian Brian Blessed voice because it would agitate, my deep alveoli in the bottom of my lungs, and I end up coughing on air. And I was hoping at the end of the 2 weeks that means that I would have been healed, that like that cold would have gone away. And the good news is it did.
Okay.
You sense there's a butt coming, don't you?
I'm waiting.
And only now it's become a head cold.
I can hear that.
Yes. So my nose is completely clogged. All my sinuses are packed wall to wall, which it hurts.
Mm. Right, like someone shoved a balloon up your nose and just inflated it.
Fully packed sinuses hurt. And so now I can't do anything on our brand new show that we waited 2 weeks for because my head has decided that it thinks that like hammering noise, if there was like a physical sensation like hammering noise, that's what my head is doing right now. So it's awesome, but I'm here anyway.
And we're all grateful.
Uh,
It's good to be back, honestly.
People have asked this. They've been like, "Oh yeah, Geek Gab got taken down by technical difficulties for 2 whole weeks." And I've been telling him, no, it was not technical difficulties. It
We
was,
just went on vacation.
yeah, John was claiming that he was doing various imaginary things like hiking and mountain climbing and
I was outside. I was outside not last week, but the week before.
what is this outside of which you speak?
Well, you know the light coming in through the windows?
No, actually,
you keep those blackout curtains drawn.
I have blackout curtains. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, no, I went out and enjoyed some sun. I actually met up with our good friend of the show and guest Jeffro Johnson of Appendix N fame. Met up with him and some of his buddies, and we enjoyed the natural beauty of the Pacific Northwest for a day.
I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I think you're lying.
I can't prove it. I don't have any photos. My phone was dead the whole day, which was really nice.
Convenient, I say. No, seriously.
I'm trying out this new feature. The Mixed GM doesn't believe us. Check this out.
Hey, there's like a big, huge. I see the chat.
I'm telling you, this is a great tool.
It's big and huge and right underneath our pictures. And I'm not even on YouTube. I'm in the StreamYard.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is good stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We should totally pay the $20 a month and get rid of the powered by. Is that a headset on the Duck?
Yeah, I believe it's a headset on the Duck. Yeah.
Okay.
With a little Skype S on it.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, it looks like a cybernetic implant, like that dude from Cloud City with the 1970s headset like glued to his head. Okay, I got it.
This is good stuff.
Were you doing anything good last week?
Yeah, last week was the local board game convention, Dragonflight. So I basically spent the whole weekend. I had intended to learn some new games and play a role-playing game, which I haven't really done much outside of that ongoing D&D game. And so I signed up for a few things and subsequently canceled most of my slots to hang out with my board game friends and play lots of great games that I can play any week. It was good, actually. It's a weekend long thing. It's just a Thursday through Sunday convention, and it's mostly focused on board games. Lots of role playing games too. So it's definitely a small local convention, not like I think PAX is coming up next weekend. Or is it this weekend? Is PAX this weekend? It could be.
It's really soon.
Yeah, it's either this weekend or next. I think they usually do Labor Day weekend. And PAX is monstrous, of course. I think they get 100,000 people or something like that. It's absurd.
Busy month for conventions.
Yeah, it's the end of the summer. You get your conventions in before kids go back to school and so on.
We had Gamescom last week. D23, that's the Disney convention, opened up yesterday. PAX West. Those are just the big ones. I admit I sat through the opening of Gamescom. I sat through 7 minutes of Death Stranding game footage.
Death Stranding game footage?
Yeah, Hideo Kojima's new game, Death Stranding.
Oh, that guy's insufferable.
Guess what? I'm not making this up.
All right.
If you haven't seen it, you're going to think I'm making this up. In Death Stranding, peeing, urination, micturation is a mechanic. There is a
That can't be true.
there is a micturation mechanic that was highlighted in the game footage. You play a male character, and there are 3 important things I need to tell you. 1, you can micturate standing up because you're a male character. 2, when you pee in the same spot, it causes a mushroom to magically grow. And if you keep on coming back to the same spot and peeing there, eventually you'll get some kind of unique item, unique piece of equipment or something. I am not making this up.
You know what, though? That is completely ridiculous. But you know what? If I were 13 or 12, I would want to play the heck out of that. I would think that would be is the funniest thing ever in a game.
There's one more thing. The main character is played by Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. And they have especially designed the camera so that while he is urinating, that no matter where you adjust the camera, you cannot, in point of fact, see any piece nor portion of his private parts, e.g., his penis.
So they just make sure that's off camera.
Make sure that's, he like turns to the left and turns to the right, whatever. They're
very clever.
They have programmed the game so that you can't do that.
This is it. This is the next step in human evolution.
I got through all of that without laughing. I think that's impressive.
Like I said, man, if you're a kid and you're playing video games and you're like, oh my god, check this out. I can pee in this spot and a mushroom grows. That's hilarious. You just go around the game world peeing on everything. Tell me you wouldn't if you were 12.
So, oh yeah, probably. So, so you're talking about going and playing board games with your friends.
Yeah, had a great time.
I wanted to talk about a board game today.
That's funny. You don't play board games. What kind of board game do you want to talk about?
A board game I have not played.
Oh.
You see how that ties in there?
This perfect. All right, nothing weird's happened. All right.
So there was a Target exclusive Monopoly variant that was called Monopoly Socialism.
It doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
Because winning is for capitalists. That's the motto right on front of the board game. And there's a sad ending to this. I want to tell you about it. People got peeved. SJWs and socialists and whatnot, got upset because it poked fun. You know, the original Monopoly board game was intended to mock and deride capitalism, right?
Sure.
Because the goal of the game was to drive everyone else into bankruptcy and take all their property. Because capitalism is evil. Okay, fine, whatever. But now that they have 107 years later come out with a board game that says socialism is evil, they can't take it. They can't handle being made fun of. It's just too much for their fragile minds. So apparently, it's been pulled from Target because
that's not funny.
Because that's not funny. Exactly. So I just this leftists went on a rant about how unfunny the game is. The playing pieces included an old-timey phone, a typewriter, a pocket watch, a phonograph, and a CRT television set, presumably because socialism is so incredibly outdated. Well, I think you hit it on the
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now spaces on the original board. There's Park Place and
Boardwalk,
so on and so forth. So spaces on the and it's not like, it's not just a critique of classic 1930s socialism. It's a critique of modern day participation trophy socialism, which I think is what really, really got up their nose. One of the spaces on the board is the We're All Winners School. Healthcare for All Hospital. No Tip Vegan Restaurant.
No Tip Vegan Restaurant.
Dairy-free coffee shop. I thought this is brilliant. I could not believe that this board game got made and released.
It's very clever.
These are like the community cards, right?
Okay.
They have the 2 stacks of cards in Monopoly. So this is from one of the stacks. Everyone loves the homemade granola you brought for community lunch. Everyone loves the tofu chip cookies you made in honor of Karl Marx's birthday. Time to plant some trees downtown. Hope you have a green thumb. Oh. You catch your neighbor using a plastic straw to drink from a disposable cup, and then you can steal you can take their chips off of something that they built up and return it to them. Yes, it's the informant card.
Wow.
You can inform on your neighbors. Go is no longer collect $200. It's collect 50 Monopolies living wage as you pass.
very. This is really clever.
It is. It's brilliant. Minimum wage increase. Sucks to be a small business owner. I don't know who designed this. I don't know who wrote it up, but they really got into the satire.
I picture the Monopoly Man, the mascot for the game, being replaced by Godfrey Elfwick from Twitter.
You know what? It's funny, but the dude is complaining about all this. Kind of looks like a non-exaggerated Elfwick. It's hilarious. So, yeah. But anyways, this looks like a great board game. It was $175. I don't know if you can get it anywhere now because I was seriously thinking about trying to order it because everybody was saying, "Oh, I've gone all over and I couldn't find it." And now it looks like that they've just pulled it, and that's why you couldn't find it. But here you go, folks. The funniest board game I have seen in maybe ever on Amazon. Despite the fact that it had 1 1/3 stars, it was the #1 new release in board games.
Wow.
So,
and that's something that's a ridiculous price point, by the way. And Monopoly is absolutely hell to play. It's definitely something to buy and look at and enjoy all the satire and all the jokes and everything. I don't know what you do with it though.
It doesn't have Monopoly's mechanics though.
No?
Yeah, it has completely different mechanics.
Oh, of course. Otherwise it would have to be an officially licensed game from Milton Bradley. I didn't realize this was not an official Monopoly.
Well, it is. It's a Hasbro game.
Oh yeah.
Hasbro, don't they own Milton Bradley now? Didn't they buy Milton Bradley?
They own just about every toy and game company.
Okay, so it's an official Monopoly variant game. They've started making those now.
Well, I've seen a million reskinned Monopolies, but nothing with new mechanics.
So this is new mechanics. It has completely different mechanics. So playing it is not the same as playing Monopoly.
Wow.
Like, for instance, what they were talking about was there's something called the community bank or community that's in the middle of the board. And if you can't pay for something that you have to pay for, then you just get to automatically take money for that and pay for it because it's socialism. So on your very first turn, when you have to buy something, then you just take it from that. But the problem is, as soon as that money runs out, then the only place to replenish it is everybody at the table has to voluntarily put money in so that everybody else can benefit from it. Because it's socialism.
I don't know. I'm saying that's hilarious. If you have $100 to burn on board games, get Gloomhaven instead.
Well, there you go. But anyways, the point I'm making is you can't get it now. Even if you had $175 and you wanted to buy it, you can't get it now. Because, or at least you can't get it at Target anymore. It was a Target exclusive. So it's sad. It sounded like a fun board game, and I was kind of interested in playing it.
I'll let you know if I see a copy.
All right.
We'll play on Roll20 or Tabletop Simulator or something.
So you saw a good movie.
I did. I saw a good movie. I wish you'd seen it.
I saw 6. Not as good movies, but they weren't bad movies. It was kind of peculiar.
It's kind of, you saw, well, it's been 3 weeks, I understand. I went and saw the new Fast and Furious. It's actually a spin-off, dude. Can you believe it?
Yes.
I haven't watched most of them, right? I knew it was car chases and crazy action scenes and stuff. And someone decided, you know what? Do you know what the Fast and Furious franchise needs? What do you think? What do you think the Fast and Furious franchises needs or needed? Is I hope you're thinking a superhero spin-off, because that's what they made.
Oh, was that not a rhetorical question?
It was not.
Oh,
Uh, seriously, because they introduced Hobbs and Shaw, The Rock, and Jason Statham as super spies, super spy and crime fighter, and they're just their ability to drive and fight and do spy and investigative stuff is so great that it's basically superhero level. I there's no better way to put it. It's really strange, but if you saw the trailer promises those two guys hating each other, working together, um, trading barbs and Die Hard style quips while fighting a completely ludicrous villain and his minions. That's what the trailer promised, and that's what the film delivered. Uh, I want to say it's even a throwback to the '80s style films, the sort that they keep putting Jason Statham in anyway.
so all the people who said that this movie was in trouble, that this movie was an embarrassment to the studio, that the studio had a turkey on its hands, that it was just trying to dump this movie or sneak it out or whatever, they were dirty, filthy liars.
Oh, are you kidding? The studio released it in August. This is the end of the summer film season, so they didn't put it up against any stiff competition, right? But they didn't dump it off in March. You know what I mean? They didn't dump it off in February. Whoever thought that the studios didn't like it, they're crazy. Just judging by the way they released it. But I mean, what can I say? Nobody's going to think that a Fast and Furious film is not some kind of a turkey, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all absurd. At least the ones I've seen. They're absurd. You go there because you want to see fast cars and cool action and now you can also get um, The Rock and Jason Statham driving vehicles and kung fuing for 2 hours. Come on.
See, that's all I would expect. That's what I would expect. That's what I would want to get from it.
Exactly. It's definitely it's not going to be on anybody's best of lists for the year or maybe even the season. It's just dumb one-liners, uh, cheesy fights, but it's the hallmark of the series, right? Amazing set piece fight scenes and chase scenes, right?
Even when the set piece battles are like kind of ridiculous, they're still fun.
Oh yeah, and the whole film is all right. Let's set up the next big thing, right? We're gonna, the trailers, more or less gave away the final set piece, right? Where, they escape to Samoa, and they spend a few minutes setting up. Okay, here's how we're going to set up this battle. Here's where we're going to draw the bad guys in. Here's how we're going to disable their weapons, and if we're lucky, we're gonna we're gonna beat them in a big melee, right? And that's it. They set that up in a little exposition and a montage, and then the bad guys showed up, and there's a big brawl. With the like 30 Samoans versus high tech bad guys. cybernetic troopers and stuff, and the superpowered Idris Elba playing the main villain. It's completely nuts, but that's the film, right? Like here's the stakes. Here's what we want to do. Here's how we want to do it. Now let's go do it and see what goes well and what doesn't go well. Like what goes sideways, and that's where all the fun and the drama comes from. Just watching. Oh no, their plan didn't work. How are they going to get out of it before? I'm guessing it's going to involve really fast, quick thinking and good driving. Sure enough.
So they promised something and they delivered on exactly what they promised.
Absolutely. I think you'd already know if you saw the trailer, you already know whether you want to watch it. Like if you love going back and watching all the cheesy 80 action stuff, action films, if you like Lethal Weapon or Die Hard, or I suppose those are really good examples of films. Like that you want to watch this movie. You're like, yeah, I could kill a couple of hours watching explosions and fast cars and stuff. But if you're somehow on the fence, uh, uh, we've got. Ooh, let's see. I'm gonna try this new feature. Bar one Scorpio in chat. Might finally give it a chance. Yeah, dude. Come on. If you like stupid action stuff, if you like The Rock, and the Rock always plays The Rock. If you like The Rock or you like Jason Statham, yeah, it's a Rock and a Jason Statham action movie. Just go enjoy it. You're gonna be out $10 in a couple hours. Love it. That's another thing too. If you're a Rock fan, the Rock WWF references were they just laid them on. They basically started the film with 3 or 4 of his signature references. They had a eyebrow reference, the people's eyebrow. Like at the beginning of the film, he's eating a stack of pancakes at a diner. Um, and like the first fight scene he gets into, he delivers his spear finisher to to one of the mooks. They just right off the bat, they're like, "Hey, do you remember The Rock in wrestling?" And of course, they had another wrestler in the Samoan scene at the end, and they start doing tag team stuff to some of the enemies. It's like they don't care. They're like, "Here's a show." I mean,
you can make movies that are fun.
No pretension at all. At all. It's really great. They do some fun stuff with at the beginning of the film. They just sort of excuse me. They do a side by side introducing the characters, just so that you get a feel for who they are and how they live. Right. It's like a mirror image. They both get up in the morning, and they watch them making breakfast. Right. The Rock gets up and he's in like a little sunny Los Angeles apartment, and he breaks raw eggs into a glass or something like that, while Jason Statham carefully makes himself an omelet, and and Statham, like really fine clothes, modern architecture, modern furniture, and the Rock's in just a rough, easygoing lifestyle. Jason Statham, after breakfast, goes to the pub, and the Rock is pumping iron already in the gym, right? So they do some cool stuff with the camera work to sort of introduce the characters and get the story going. And of course, the real reason to watch is the chase scenes, right? The camera work is fun. You always have a sense of, with a couple of exceptions, you always have a sense of where the vehicles are in relation to each other, and what the goal is. There's always a little bit of a tension, plus all the fun of actually seeing the vehicles spin and drive around. And they also managed to have a cars versus helicopter chase scene, which was that was something new. That was a lot of fun. What can I say? They delivered.
All right.
So I recommend it. You should definitely see this. This is 100% a Daddy Warpig film.
I'll have to put it on my to watch film. I mean, it does sound exactly like my kind of movie.
Absolutely.
I will be honest.
And I would dare to say, if you have the option, if it's still available in theaters where you're at, maybe catch the IMAX. Just get that big screen, roaring engine feel.
That roar that's so loud it rattles the feeling in the fillings in your teeth.
Oh yeah, you know what? That'll clean your sinuses right out. That'll just shake it all loose. You'll be able to breathe again.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'll be honest. I too saw a movie that delivered exactly what it promised. And I actually watched, for certain values, have watched the world premiere of this movie. And the movie was called, and get ready for the title, Zombie Tidal Wave. And so you're going to ask me, well, did they deliver? Was there a zombie tidal wave? And I will confess that not only did they deliver a zombie tidal wave, they delivered a second one about 15, 20 minutes later.
Wow. Now, I've got a couple of competing images in my mind. What did they mean by a zombie tidal wave?
So the movie starts out, and there's an earthquake underwater. They're in an island paradise somewhere in Southeast Asia. So it's not a Hawaii or, one of those other places that's really obvious. Southeast Asia. And within the first 2 minutes of the movie, there's a couple swimming in the water. He asks her to marry him. She says yes. And when she turns around, he's gone because zombie attack. Less than 2 minutes into the movie. Because the movie is called Zombie Tidal Wave. And what are you here to see?
Yeah. We're not going to have the 15-minute establishment of characters and settings and things. That's for wimps.
They do get into establishing a few characters later. They get a couple minutes in doing that. But man, bam, right off the top, they give you exactly what you came to see. So it turns out that whatever happened underwater released a bunch of zombies. And follow me here on the plotting. When you have an undersea earthquake of sufficient magnitude, what does it cause?
Sure, tidal waves.
Tidal waves. But it actually makes sense. I hate to say it with a movie called Zombie Tidal Wave, but the plot makes sense within its universe. There is it turns out, and you find this out fairly quickly, so minor spoilers, there's an old vessel on the floor of the ocean, and the earthquake shifted the position of the vessel so its hold, that's where they keep the cargo, the hold, broke open and released the zombies.
Oh, no.
And the earthquake caused a tidal wave. The tidal wave picked up the zombies in the water and washed them up onto the shores and the streets of this island paradise. Now, given the existence of zombies, all of that is perfectly plausible.
Sure. I mean, considering how destructive tidal waves are, I'm having trouble being really threatened by adding zombies to it. But tell me more.
I'm astounded by how not bad the bad movie was. Like I've been thinking about this for the last week and a bit. The movie has some kind of intricate things that happen, not in the forefront. It's not the plot. It's like they drive from point A to point B and pick up some survivors, and point C, pick up some more survivors, and point D and pick up some more survivors. Okay, so they have specific pieces of equipment, guns and knives and stuff. They pick up people who have their own equipment, they change equipment, they lose something, and at every single point, they don't break continuity once.
Ooh, sounds like they have a really smart continuity editor.
They don't suddenly have a person that they didn't pick up. They don't suddenly miss a person that they did pick up. They don't suddenly just magically lose or have gear appear. I mean, it's too darn good for a bad movie. And let me tell you why you'd think it was a bad movie. First off, it stars Ian Ziering, recently the star of the Sharknado movies.
Oh, I was about to say, I recognize that name. Sharknado and Beverly Hills 90210, right?
Yep. And this is also a Sci-Fi Channel movie. So that sets your expectations right there. And it's made by a lot of people who were crew or production people, whatever, associated with the Sharknado movies. So you're just thinking this is going to be a Sharknado movie, but with zombies. And it kind of sort of is, but still, they didn't slack off. They didn't just, throw something together willy-nilly. They actually paid attention to the basics of filmmaking. It's astonishing how many truly bad movies get all this stuff wrong. How you can't count on any of this. But this one, cheesy, kitschy movie gets it right. Intentionally dumb comedy moments, some drama moments, whatever, they actually get it right. And if you take it for what it is, the plot actually even works. I'm serious. It's astonishing. I couldn't believe it. I was thinking about the plot threads. It forms an entire coherent story that makes sense. And it's complete. You can follow in the story 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to the climax. That's something The Last Jedi couldn't manage. That's something a lot of big budget movies just can't manage. A coherent plot that makes sense. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, shame on you, Hollywood. This stupid zombie NATO movie is more competently written than half the stuff you put out.
And I swear this is true. The dialogue is even kind of clever at times.
Wow.
Oh no!
I'm speechless. I really am.
I don't know how it happened. but it's all there. You have a complete story that makes sense. You have a movie that bothers to pay attention to continuity. It knew what it was making, and they deliver on it. It's even got a nice, some nice themes about family and stuff like that, and regretting bad decisions you've made. And it's not a great movie. I'm not going to lie to you about that. There's some rough performances and stuff, but I can't call it a bad film. At absolute worst, it's cheesy and it's got moments of dumb humor on purpose. That's it. It's competently made. It beats a lot of stuff. I don't know what to tell you. You can sense my shock, I hope.
Yeah. You can't handle it.
So that was zombie tidal wave.
Zombie tidal wave. That's one of those film titles that just grabs you.
I also saw, since our last show, a 5-movie series called Mythica.
Huh.
Now, these many months ago, somebody recommended I watch Orcs. And I was bitterly disappointed. Whereas if they had recommended I watch Mythica, I would have been pleasantly surprised. Because I watched Mythica, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
Mythica is a 5-movie series that was, each of the movies was kickstarted. And once they were kickstarted, then they started selling them to streaming services, apparently. I caught mine on Amazon Prime. And I don't mean to say this. It's going to sound like I'm insulting the movies when I say this, but I'm not. They're D&D.
Okay.
The main characters are a D&D adventuring party. There's a magic user. There's a fighter. There's a priest. And there's a thief. And they go on a quest to stop an evil necromancer.
Oh.
And it's fun. It's entertaining. It's even kind of delightful in places. It was worth the time I spent on it.
I mean, there's lots of great stuff that sort of fit that description. I think, even the D&D movie and Record of Lodoss War, famous anime, is basically just a generic Dungeons and Dragons game. But that's great. What can I say? Like, that sounds great.
I mean, you can tell that the special effects. Okay, so first off, let's get that out of the way. It's shot. All 5 of these movies are shot in Utah.
Okay.
Which really wigged me out because I kept on thinking that scenery looks awfully familiar. And at the end, it says, shot on location in Utah. They just picked a bunch of different wilderness locations in Utah and used them for all of these different things. They have good costume designs. They look credible. They don't look like cheapy, cheesy mass-produced Naga hide stuff that you got in like the 70s. They just look like nice, fur clothes or leather clothing or whatever. They, whatever their budget was from being kickstarted, they spent it well. The special effects, the spell effects and stuff are a bit rough in places, but it's a really low budget film. They just didn't have the money to make them super spectacular every time. And in movies 2 and 3, they have some shots of like battles, like actual huge battles, laying siege to a town and stuff. And those are they're the quality of of animatics. You ever watched the making of a movie and they will show you like, oh yeah, here's our previs where we, set up what a scene will look like. And then they'll have like really bad computer animation showing characters walking around and stuff. Have you seen those or?
Not so many.
Okay. That's the quality of the big battle scene animation. It was painful.
Oh.
It's like getting spikes pounded into my eyes. But
wow, that's pretty harsh.
Most of the rest of it is well done. I mean, the land they picked looks like a fantasy world, and it looks different from a lot of the other stuff we get because you don't usually shoot in like, Wasatch Front Mountains or other places like that. They did a lot of good with it. The acting was credible. It has Kevin Sorbo in a recurring Hercules, Kevin Sorbo, Andromeda, Kevin Sorbo, big guy, muscly.
Yeah, I know him. I used to love Hercules.
He shows up in he plays a very 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 powerful magician. He's in a small part in each of the 5 movies. So, they made him entertaining. They made him watchable, and they put what they could do well. They spent the time and money to do well so that it bottoms some goodwill. So the things that they just never could have done well with the budget they had, they did as good as they could. And I enjoyed them. It was,
low budget D&D action.
Yeah. I mean, they have orcs. They go out there and they kill a bunch of orcs. They have a thieves guild they break into at some point, They have a dragon at one point in one of the movies. They have a couple of dungeons they go through. It's just, and there's a plot. The plot is coherent. Again, the writing is better than The Last Jedi.
Well,
they're not bad movies. I just they were enjoyable. I enjoyed them, and they were worth the time I spent on them. I'm not saying, are you saying they're better than the Avengers? I'm not saying they're the best movies you ever see. I'm just saying that I enjoyed them.
You knew what you were getting, you got it, and you got no complaints.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, that may be damning with faint praise because it doesn't sound like they're very good movies, but they're enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, they're literally entertaining. just the way the characters interacted. They all had distinct personalities, and they all maintained their distinct personalities. I mean, do you know how hard that is for a lot of people who write and make movies? If you've seen bad movies, you know how people just randomly change their personalities because that's what the plot needs at this point, right? But they maintain their same personalities. You could begin to accept them as people because they're the same people all the way through. Like they had a horn dog half elf. He wasn't, and maybe by saying that, I made it seem like he's one note. He isn't one note. And he grows over the series. But, he likes women. He's got a weakness for women, and he likes taking money. Every chance they get to make money, he says, okay, so how do we get the treasure out of this place? And it turns out he's right. Because in the third movie, they're critically short on cash, and they desperately need money to get something done. And he says, this is why I keep on asking, how do we get money? So, so they maintain their characterization, and so they seem real. I mean, that's something that everybody gets wrong all the time. And yet this movie got it right. But it's just hard to explain. It's so easy to see movies that do things wrong. And when a movie does something right, it just becomes kind of invisible. It's just one of those things that doesn't annoy you anymore. And it's kind of nice to sit down and see a movie that isn't super high budget, that is entertaining, and that you can compare to truly bad movies and say, yeah, this movie is doing a lot of stuff that's good. So I think it's useful or helpful to kind of calibrate your taste every now and then. See a truly awful movie so that you can appreciate, movies that may not be the absolute best, but which are still entertaining, still good.
I try. Although I tried watching Birdemic again just for the laughs, and I tell you what, it is not funny the second time you watch it.
I've heard that is actually just literally terrible.
It is legitimately awful.
Just there's very few, if any, redeeming qualities about it.
It's funny in that you're laughing at how bad it is because it's done so earnestly, and it doesn't have compare it to The Room, where The Room is sort of just as earnest and just as bad, if not worse. But Tommy Wiseau is such a strange character, and it's got so many wacky lines that it's quotable. The Room is quotable in its awfulness, and Birdemic is not. Birdemic is just really, really bad. And the first time I saw it was because let's deliberately watch a bad movie, and I was laughing at how much awfulness was in it. And I didn't make it through 15 minutes on the second watching. I was like, this will be good for a laugh, and it wasn't. It was just really bad. Unlike The Room, The Room's good for a laugh.
So avoid Birdemic is.
Yeah, if you're gonna hate watch a bad film, Birdemic is probably the worst I've ever seen, and you've really got to like bad movies to enjoy that.
So, anyways, those are the bad movies I saw. The 5, not as bad as you'd think for me calling them bad movies. I mean, I didn't even know what to call them. Bad movie is just such a bad term for them. Because they're not actually bad movies.
Like low budget?
Yeah, they're low budget. But they use their budget well, and they do the absolutely, they do far more than you could expect from their budget size. You know, it's like in these Hollywood blockbusters that go bad, they have this huge budget, but what they get out of it is just teeny tiny, right? These six films had a very small budget and got outsized results from it. Got really good results from their teeny tiny budget. So they're not going to be as good as a huge blockbuster success. But damn it, if they didn't take what they had and made the most of it and made something that was entertaining that I could sit there and watch and say, hey, I was entertained. They did a good job.
Amen. Looking for the future of bad movies. We've got looking forward to bad stuff in the future. Bad movie number one is there's a new movie poster for Star Wars. Did you know that they've made another Star Wars film?
I heard about that.
Yeah, that's going to be released in about 4 months.
The Rise of the Fall of the Skywalker?
Yeah. So looking forward to not seeing that.
I almost said Skullwalker, but
Skullwalker. Yeah. There's not much more that needs to be said about that. I think I'm glad that Star Wars is dead. The other one, we're gonna have to wait a couple of years for this next pile of trash. Just got an announcement: Black Panther 2 arrives in 2022.
Did they announce Captain Karen 2?
I don't know. I think I've got websites that do that blocked on my browser.
I saw a great trailer yesterday for Rambo 5: Last Blood.
Oh yeah, I saw that as well. I'm genuinely looking forward to that.
Man, that looks better every time I see a trailer for it.
And it's amazing that how old is Stallone? 75 or something like that?
Yeah,
the guy's absolutely ripped.
He just.
I should start lifting. I'd like to look half that good at that age.
I am really impressed with Stallone's late career renaissance. That last Rocky film he did, and then the Creed 1. I haven't seen Creed 2 yet. It's been a busy year. And then the number 4 Rambo movie, and the first of his 3 Expendables movies is just phenomenal. And I'm not saying the others are like terrible, but man, that first one is just, it is something special. So.
Well, I'm about out. How about you?
Oh yeah, no, I'm done. That was what I wanted to talk about today. I actually watched the beginning of, because it'd been like a week and a bit since I saw it. I actually watched the beginning of the beginning of Zombie Tidal Wave last night, just to remind me of a couple of things. That's when I found out the 2-minute thing. I was like, that's awesome. That's just cool. But yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool for today.
Well, that's all I wanted to talk about too. It was good catching up after a few weeks of vacation. We're back. Love this new software. I think we're gonna run with the StreamYard from now on, which means we'll be able to run this from anywhere. So that'll be nice. So thanks for hanging out, and thanks for hanging out in the chat, guys. Mostly talking with Barba and Scorpio today. It's good to have you around.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
All right, let's see if we can pull this off with all the head coldness going on. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat, of course. Thanks for dropping by for this last-minute awesome broadcast on StreamYard. I want to thank everybody who will listen to this show later and be massively entertained. Give Hobbs and Shaw a shot. Give zombie title gave a shot, and take a look at the Mythica movies. They're I found them entertaining. If you like the first one, probably the others will entertain you too. Give it a shot. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Geek Gab for Saturday, August 24th. You can catch us on youtube.com/geekgab, youtube.com/geekgab. You can also get us on the Google Play Store, on soundcloud.com, and on the iTunes Store. Just do a search for Geek Gab. We are signing out for today. But don't you worry. Don't you fret. We will be back.